Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what it do. We got another great interview coming your way. We have the one, the only, the legendary. This man really does not need any introduction, because he is the one, the only Kid Sensation. How are you doing this evening?
DJ Immortal, man, I'm just happy to be here with you and your listeners, man, hanging out.
Hey man, I first and foremost have to say, kid, thank you so much for just taking the time of your evening to come on. You know, I've been a huge fan of yourself, you know what I mean, Sir Mix-a-Lot, all the stuff that you did within the camp and ECP, so I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Definitely, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate all the love over the years, my guy.
So I gotta ask you, Sensation, what made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
You know, to be honest, man, Mr. Mix-a-Lot and I both lived in a little housing project across the street from the world-famous Rainier Beach High School. It produced lots of NBA stars. Shout out to Rainier Beach. And, yeah, man, we just, I just kind of, grew up kind of in that same neighborhood as him, and I kind of, looked up to him, man. You know, he was this DJ, man, and he had, like, studio equipment in his house, and he had turntables, and he could mix. And so what he would do, man, he would go and buy a whole bunch of the records on vinyl, man, and he would, if you brought him $10 and a brand new tape, like, a cassette tape, he would mix all the brand new cuts, man, onto your tape and make you a fresh tape with all the latest hip hop on there. So, if you didn't want to have to buy 5, 6, 7, 10 different records and have all these new cuts, that was the easy way to get your music, man. Fresh, brand new tape. It would sound pretty good. So we was like, yo, man. And so that's how he became Sir Mix-a-Lot. A lot of people don't know that. He was a DJ first, and he was all about the fresh cuts, man. And so that was my first introduction really into hip-hop. And he would take, how like back in the day, man, when the 12-inch record would have, on the flip side, it would have the instrumental of the hit song. So he would rap over those, man, and so then I started kind of asking him to give me some of those instrumentals so I could kind of mess around and try my hand at it. I was probably 12, 13 years old, man, when I first met him and was getting into all that, was getting the tapes from him and stuff, but that was my intro to the biz, man.
Hey, man, and I also have to say, I remember listening to Sir Mix-a-Lot's album Swass, where you actually made, made your debut as a rapper. I have to ask you, what was it like just being on Sir Mix-a-Lot's album and just debuting on there, man? Like, what was the feeling when Sir Mix-a-Lot actually brought you onto that project?
Man, it was really crazy because, Nasty Mix Records was a label that, a lot of these people were in Seattle. Everyone that had anything to do with Nasty Mix Records starting and everything was in Seattle. That label was birthed out of Seattle. So to watch the Swass album come out on Nasty Mix Records, our label, and then to actually see, us starting to kind of blow up, and for me to be on that record and on Posse on Broadway and all that, I mean, and then just to make a debut like that, and just, it was surreal, bro. You talking about a kid that just, snotty-nosed kid from the projects that didn't know nothing about, being in the music business, man. So to actually, like, be on the radio and all those kinds of things, man, was crazy.
And before we move off the Sir Mix-a-Lot part of things, I have to ask you, when you were you there when I Like Big Butts were made? Were you there and witnessed that, like, that huge record, but come to be?
I mean, we still were definitely cool. We were definitely, friends. But I was out touring my own solo music by that time and doing my thing. And so we've done, like, of course, we've performed together or do things like that. But I wasn't in the group at that time when he was creating Baby Got Back. But I did get to, when he got nominated for the Grammy, I said, man, I'm coming down there with you, man. We're gonna definitely celebrate this together. And I did go up on stage with him and receive his Grammy with him, so that was cool.
And also, speaking of your solo career, you actually released your debut album July 2nd of 1990, entitled Rollin', which actually was #1. Rollin' with #1, my apologies. I have to ask you, was the inspiration behind that record? And of course, man, what was it like to actually have a phenomenal debut record? Because I got to say, that album was phenomenal, in my personal opinion.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, to be honest, that that record was just so reflective of who I was at that time. I mean, it was like, man, I was 17, making my little music, and so it was like, shoot. I mean, all I knew about was, trying to kick it, cars and bass, and girls, and just having fun. I mean, it was just a very fun record, man. But I also had a couple songs that kicked a little knowledge. It was a little socially conscious as well, so like Prisoner of Ignorance and things like that. So it just was kind of a mixture of me saying this is who I am at this point in this stage of my life, and it was just a cool experience.
And I have to say, like that album was a phenomenal record, man. You know what I mean? I have to say, like back in especially the early '90s, with the gangster rap going on and whatnot, it really was hard for like an artist to actually get their music out if they weren't all about that gangster life, man. And I think you did phenomenal with that.
Thanks, man. And that was us, man. I mean, to be honest with you, I was just being true to who I was and authentic to myself, man. And that was that I wasn't a gangster. I wasn't, hard. I wasn't all that. I mean, yeah, I grew up in the projects and we grew up poor, but I just wasn't in the gang life. I wasn't in the drugs, so I wasn't going to rap about things that wasn't really true and authentic to me. So I gave a lot of people who just was like fun-loving kids and whatever like that a little alternative, something with just that you could just turn up and have some bass to, and just really kind of enjoy.
And one of my favorite tracks off that record is actually the I Spit remix with Mahara. I have to ask you, what was it like actually working with Mahara?
Oh man, to be honest with you, he's phenomenal. He's talented, man, and everyone that was in the crew, man, from Maharaji to the Attitude Adjuster to Samix-a-Lot, E-Dog, all the fellas in the crew had some sort of a talent or some sort of a thing that they brought to the table that was different. So working with Maha on that I Spit remix, and working with every one of the fellas that were in the crew, man, they all just brought something, great and authentic and unique to the table. So man, and that's what's really cool. And I know I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I got the entire crew back together on the new record, and we dropped a new track all together called Just Another Day in the City. And I knew I had to do it because every single one of these cats, man, even though Mix-a-Lot was obviously the head man, every single one of these cats brought something unique to the table.
And I have to ask this, man, since you brought that up. I'll bring this up now. How does it feel to actually have everybody back together again? When you guys were all in the studio cooking that up, like how did it feel to have the guys back together again? Was it kind of like old times?
Oh, of course, man. I mean, see, all these guys, man, we recognize that our lives take us on different paths. We got different things going on in our lives, but man, me and Mix-a-Lot, for example, man, if we ain't talked to each other in 2 months, man, I'll tell you what, I shoot him a text and say, hey, man, I need some advice on this, or hey, man, I need to hit you up because I need some feedback on that, or you know what, I need your support in this area. It's love, man. I can hit them dudes up, and it's love. It's like genuine love. It's not like, this fake stuff, man. If I need the shirt off his back, he's got my back, and that's the kind of relationships that we got. So when I said, hey, man, look, this track ain't gonna be nothing without y'all, everybody was on board and just did what they needed to do.
And I have to say, like, Sir Mix-a-Lot is a phenomenal individual. Like, I had the brief opportunity to talk to him for about 2 minutes on the phone while I booked him for an interview, and I have to say, one of the most down-to-earth individuals I have probably ever talked to.
Super down to earth, man. Super cool dude. And, something that I think happens when you are like an artist like him or like me or like, cats, man, that have kind of been in the game and really experienced any ups or downs, you learn how to really appreciate every opportunity, every fan, every interview, every person. I mean, I done watched him, and we done the same thing, man, of we're out, and whether we're enjoying a game, enjoying a meal, doing whatever we do, man, we show love. We never get pretentious and weird with fans, man. We're going to always be cool with people. We're going to always be patient. I'm going to sign any CD that somebody, brings my way, because for some people, it ain't like they're going to run into me every day. Yeah, I'm me every day, and sometimes I have to deal with certain things in the public eye. But the bottom line is that when people come come in and they approach our space, or when you're going to interview Sir Mix-a-Lot, you're only going to be talking to him for them few minutes, and so he understands and he gets that every person should feel like you should leave my presence better when we're done with this interview. Like, you should feel like, man, Kid really added value in these brief moments that we had time together. And so for you to walk away from the experience with Mix saying, yo, man, that dude, he's a really down-to-earth, genuine dude, you feel good when the name Sir Mix-a-Lot is brought up because it brings back a good experience. And that's all that we need to do, man. That's how we need to treat people.
And I most definitely agree. The one thing I do want to bring to everybody's attention here, everyone that always listens to the media and says, this person's bad, I'm going to say out of every famous person I've interviewed since doing my radio thing, a lot of them has made, gangster rap songs and talked about killing and drugs. But you know what? Every single one has been a phenomenal, nice individual. So I just want to say for the people that heard that, don't ever believe the media.
Facts. Yeah, man. Some of the most cool, people, they've been through rough experiences in their life, and a lot of times they may paint a picture that ain't so pretty, and the language and everything might not be this and that and the other. That might not be my experience, but I'm not here to judge anybody else. All I'm saying is that you got to get to know and sit down with somebody. When you sit down and take time and get to know Ice Cube, and you get to know these dudes, they're not what you might perceive them to be. They're really solid people. And so, I agree with you, man. It's about the individual, man, not about this persona and this media, image that people try to put out there.
And also, aside from the music part of things for a minute there, I also noticed you were a host on Yo MTV Raps and BET's Rap City. I have to ask you, how did those hosting jobs come to be for you? And of course, what is one of your most memorable moments as being on the cast of both of those shows?
Okay, so yeah, man, you just get invited, you get to call up, and obviously with as big as those shows were, because a lot of your fans, that are listening to you probably know, but a lot of young cats, for the young heads out there, MTV meant music television, and there was a day they actually used to play music videos. And so when you got invited to MTV, man, that was the biggest thing. There was no YouTube, so that was the outlet to be able to get your videos seen, and on a national basis. So when they called, you came, and same with BET, national broadcast. So you was like, yo, you tell me where I need to be and when, and let's get it. But a funny memory, I was on hosting BET Rap City, and the dude that was the host on there, man, he was like, yeah, man, so we were in Virginia when we were shooting. He's like, anybody here from the West Coast? They was like, I was like, man, why would you do that? Now, if we was in LA, you could have said that, but man, how you go turn everybody off from you right from the very beginning? Like, wow, bro. And so I had to win the crowd over by freestyling in front of them, and they went bonkers, man, because I did a cool little freestyle to kind of let them know that, man, I was a real MC, and I wasn't just, some dude that was over there surfing on the beach in California.
Yeah, they most definitely put you on the spot there.
For sure.
But I gotta say, with the MTV thing, man, it's tragic what happened to MTV. Now there's like 16 and Pregnant and Jersey Shore. Like, I miss when MTV used to actually be about music, man. I remember before I used to go to school back in the day, man, I used to actually watch like a little bit of Rap City. They used to have an hour of old school hip hop music videos, man. That used to be my wake up, eat breakfast, get all pumped up, try to enjoy my day at school type thing, man. But unfortunately, MTV isn't what it used to be anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. And I think, to be honest with you, it's like they understand, man, all the shock value and all the craziness. I mean, which one is going to sell the most, right? If you show just some music videos, or you just show a bunch of people, fighting and yelling and cussing each other out, and families falling apart. I mean, for whatever reason, man, it just seems like that our society wants to consume more of that division, more of that craziness. I mean, and there's no shortage of people willing to put that stuff out there. And so, yeah, it's pretty sad, man, of what kind of transpired.
And also, baseball legend Ken Griffey Jr. actually performed on your track, The Way I Swing. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with Ken? And of course, what was it like working with Ken on your track?
Oh, man, so Griff and I, man, we met at a car stereo shop, and I was not into baseball, admittedly, when I was younger, man, and even really necessarily know who he was. And he knew who I was because the guys at the car sales shop was like, yo, you know who's here? And he was like, who? And they told him, and so they introduced us. And so I'm like, what's up, man? What's going on? And so then we, he's down there getting his Porsche worked on. I'm getting my Mercedes worked on, and we getting car stereos. We used to go real crazy with these car stereos, man. Put all, thousands and thousands of dollars into, crazy stereos and all that, man. That was just who he was. And so we just really, man, we kind of hit it off right there from the beginning, man. We just ended up being really cool, and so we swapped numbers, and then we connected a few times and started hanging out. And just the more that we got to hang out, I wasn't interested in baseball, like I told you, and he wasn't like, and because he was who he was, he wasn't like all starstruck or anything like that either. So it was just kind of more like we get together and we didn't have to talk about baseball necessarily, music. We just got to be cool, And but it was kind of funny. He always wanted to kind of like, he was more about the music and whatever. And me, once I got to know who he was and really respect the game of baseball and see what went into it and see what went into his craft, and I went to spring training with him and really saw what the dedication and the work that it takes. And then I found out like who this dude really is. I'm like, okay, man, I really got a lot of respect for what you do. So there was just such a strong mutual respect, man, and we just became best friends, man. During his playing days in Seattle, it just was a phenomenal thing. And so, I was working on the second album, Power Rhyme. I'm like, man, dude, if I wrote you something, you gonna come in the studio and spit it? I'm just kind of saying it tongue in cheek, thinking, man, he ain't gonna take me up on this, man. And he's like, I'll do it. What's up? And I said, okay, I'm gonna write you something. And it was almost a joke, but then when I wrote it, and I said, what do you think about this? He was like, okay. And so he literally came in the studio and laid it down, man. And the engineers were shocked when he showed up, and so was I, because I was like, I know he's going to talk his way out of this. And he went through with it, man, and we laid that thing down. It was just a lot of fun, man.
I have to ask you this: when you actually first heard that, because as you just said, like at first you didn't really know baseball, so you're just thinking, you just thought he was a baseball player. When you heard him spit, did your jaw drop when you heard him actually spit those bars?
I was actually surprised because I tell people this all the time. Griffey was a better rapper than I was a baseball player, because I went in the batting cage when we were down there at spring training in Tempe, and I tried to hit a few of them balls, and I found out that that ain't no sport for to just be playing around with, man. It's serious. So man, I was very surprised, man. He soaks up stuff like a sponge, man. And a funny little side story, man. So since Griff is retired, man, I crack with him all the time, because I'm like, man, dude, you trying to be the most interesting man in the world? Because seriously, man, he has gotten his photography license. He's gotten his pilot license. He's gotten DJ training and bought equipment, learned how to be a DJ. He's doing all this crazy stuff, man. And I'm like, dude, you just doing everything, man. Is there anything you not gonna do? So, yeah, man, he learns things very, very fast. He's just a student, and when he gets into something, he really throws himself into it. I mean, you know how competitive athletes are, and he wasn't gonna settle for being whacked.
And also, jumping ahead in the timeline here a little bit, in 2002, your album Seatown Funk was actually certified gold in Germany. I have to ask you, how does it feel knowing that your album is actually certified gold all the way out overseas?
Man, that was really, really a trip. I mean, I guess they say it was driven by the military presence over there and whatnot that kind of introduced the record over there. But yeah, that was really exciting, man. I mean, to know that that Seattle, a city that they really didn't respect as far as hip hop, we wouldn't even really count it on the West Coast necessarily. We was just like that place up there in the corner, and the West Coast is really more thought of as the Bay Area and Los Angeles and all that. And so to have Seattle, man, getting represented in Germany and being kind of the one behind it, man, was really cool for me.
And I have to ask you, did you receive a plaque from Germany? Because I don't really know how that works. Like, I know in North America, since you're in North America, you probably got a plaque, but did you actually get the plaque mailed to you from Germany?
Well, that's another story. The label ended up with all of the things that were connected to the release, and it took me years and years and years to kind of get all of that stuff back in terms of like even just my masters and my rights and all of that kind of stuff. So whatever was from that pretty much bit the dust, man, because I don't know who has it or what, and a lot lot of those assets, unfortunately, the physical assets, man, I don't have.
And I'm going to say this: that's pathetic in my personal opinion, man. Because you put in the work, it's your lyrics, you know, your beats, the whole record's yours. You know, I think like at least they could do is give you your plaque, man. Because that's your gold right there, man. You actually deserve that. So I think, you know, they should have gave you that plaque.
You know, and I thought about too, you know, Rolling with Number One, you know, the first album was never certified by the RIAA as gold, and that record sold over 700,000 units, and it was because 300,000 of them had sold at Nasty Mix. I'm sorry, 450,000 had sold at Nasty Mix, and 300,000 under Ichiban, and then both labels went bankrupt, and neither one of them went through the certification process to take care of it. So I thought, man, I should at some point in time, you know, me and my team, we should contact the RIAA and see if we can get our plaques, man, for, you know, C-Town Funk, for Rolling with Number One, and find out through all of our sales and go back through SoundScan and find out what really went down, because that's the problem of when a label goes bankrupt, assets get caught up in it, all sorts of things happen, and you just don't really know what the real deal is on a lot of stuff. So yeah, man, just, you know, but the bottom line is that I love music, I love making the music, and I don't do it for the awards, I don't do it for those things. It's nice to be recognized, but man, I make hip hop because I love it, and I do it for the people that it touches, man.
And I also noticed you actually created content for the Xbox video game Project Gotham Racing. I have to ask you, how did that project come to be for you, and what was it like working on a video game?
Oh man, that's always fun, man. You know, I had a friend that worked over at Microsoft in a kind of a different division, kind of hooked it all up. That this is what we're looking for, and you know, they didn't really work me too hard, man. They just said, hey, here's what we need from you. Here's what the punch words, the key words, and this is what we're looking for. We just want something that gives a good energy, and I literally made it, and they accepted it without even any correction on the first time, and that's rare when you're, you know, creating music for a brand or whatever. Most of the time they're gonna send you back to the lab to put little tweaks, but they loved it from the first time they got it.
And I have to say, I remember like, you know, just playing that game, man, and I remember hearing your voice in it, and I was like, oh, kid sensation. I used to love it, you know what I mean? And I have to say, they don't even make video games like that anymore, unfortunately. Everything is now a pay-to-play basis.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game, man, but I definitely got to enjoy that process.
And also, in 2012, you were actually in a movie, Safety Not Guaranteed. I have to ask you, how did you land that role, and what was that experience like as acting in a movie?
Well, it was really cool, man. I have an acting agent, and they give me, you know, little different things and stuff, and so I try to keep myself a little bit, you know, in the acting thing, and I'm pretty selective over stuff that I'll choose, but you know, the Safety Not Guaranteed thing came, and I got to take a peek at what was going on. I was like, man, this sounds kind of interesting and fun. And so, you know, and I've always dreamed of, you know, getting a chance to kind of to be in a movie and those kind of things. And so, when that opportunity came around, man, I had to go and audition just like everybody else. They chose me, and I was really excited because Jake Johnson was in the movie, you know, from Let's Be Cops. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
That movie with Damon Wayans and them, and you know, he was also in Jurassic World, or Jurassic Park, one of the ones. And then Aubrey Plaza from, you know, like Parks and Recreation. You know, Aubrey Plaza, she's in all kind of stuff, and as well, Kristen Bell was in the movie. You know, so a lot of cool people in the movie, man. A very fun little movie to shoot, and got to create some cool relationships and friendships through that. So yeah, man, all good stuff. A great experience.
And do you have any current movie projects in the works right now, or are you just focusing on this new record?
Yeah, right now I've kind of withdrew. I shot a show last year. I did that, and you know, and you do those things because they pay well. But I mean, other than that, I've been kind of not actively, you know, seeking movie roles right now, so I could kind of really focus on putting this Kid record together. Because I was like, you know, it's been a minute since Kid has dropped the record, so if there's gonna be a Kid record, it's gonna be a great record, and I want to really put my all into it.
And I also noticed that you actually run the non-profit organization called Urban Harvest. I have to ask you, tell us a bit more about that organization, and how can our listeners get involved or take the opportunity to donate?
Well, yeah, it's colamusic.com, where you can find out all the information on everything that you and I pretty much talk about today. And Urban Harvest is simply a nonprofit that is about the young people that are in the inner city, and they are the urban harvest. In other words, we don't really realize how rich our communities are in talent and in brains and in, these young kids are phenomenal that we're sitting here thinking that are just throwaways because they came up in this neighborhood or they came up with this kind of upbringing. But you just don't realize there's a huge harvest out there if we're willing to go out there and show them the way and give them opportunity. So the whole premise behind Urban Harvest is simply this. We take successful individuals and we say, hey man, we need all of you guys to just donate your time and just volunteer to be able to donate a little time to people who look up to you. Then we go, and it could be celebrities, it could be, I have several athletes and entertainers have done this for me, but then also it could just be, firefighters, it could just be people that work at Boeing or whatever. But the bottom line is we get these people and we say, we partner them with young people that are interested in their fields. If we got a, basketball player, I've partnered them with Jamal Crawford. If we've got a person that's interested in technology and those kind of things, I got people at Google and Microsoft and Amazon that I partner them with. So the bottom line is you partner people with things that they're interested in their areas, and then you just allow the magic to happen, man. When you let a successful person that's in that industry and a bright-eyed person that just can't wait to learn a whole bunch more, and you just partner them together, then all of a sudden there's an exchange of emails, and there's, hey man, when you get to this point, man, let me know because I got your back, and I'm gonna turn you into these people, and this is how, man, we're gonna help you to make the next move that you want to make. So the bottom line is, man, that's what Urban Harvest is all about, is partnering together, successful people with that huge harvest of urban kids that really need the opportunity.
And also, as we already know, you're working on a new record, but I want to ask, what can we expect from your brand new record that's coming out? And of course, what's the estimated release date on that record?
Well, September 18th is the expected release date, and I love talking about this record because it's just really exciting, man, what I believe it's going to do. And that is not about the sales and not about anything else. But what I'm putting out, this record is called Presently Past the Future. And the reason I titled it that is because I want it to have some of the past, the hip-hop elements that hip-hop was built on. I wanted to have the present, and then I also wanted to speak to the future of where hip-hop can potentially go. The music doesn't have any profanity. It don't have a bunch of negative, this and that and the other, and that's no knock on other people that do what they do, but I'm just saying this is how I'm coming, and this is what I'm bringing to the table, because there was a time, man, where hip-hop records, you could just turn them on, and the whole family could party to them, and everything was just beautiful, and you didn't have to listen to 50,000, get cussed out throughout the record. It was just like, yo, man, dope music, dope rhymes, dope beats, storytelling, scratching, all those kind of things that really made hip-hop what it was are going to be present on this record. But then what's really cool about it is that there's a lot of people right now, and it's a growing sect of people, right, that are saying, man, the hip-hop just isn't what it used to be, man. Cats put together 5 words, they put some auto-tune on it, and boom, that's a hit. But what happened to the storytelling, man? What happened to the choruses and the hooks I can sing? And what happened to, the kind of music that told the stories of the hood or told the stories of real life and love and all the things that's happening? What about that real music, And so I'm making music for that growing demographic of people that are looking for that kind of thing, man. Like, yo, man, I want some of that original feel of hip-hop. I want it all, but I also want it to be current. I mean, if you listen to my tracks, the stuff don't sound like I stopped rapping in 92 or 98. You know what I'm saying? The stuff is up to date, it's fresh, it's current, but it still has those elements and that feel to it of the original music. So, man, this is going to be a phenomenal record, and I think people are going to be really excited to get their hands on it because it doesn't sound like anything that's out there right now.
And I have to ask this, aside from the record, is there anything else you want to promote? Will we still have you here live on the radio station?
Well, mainly, man, if you guys can check me out at colamusic.com, that's XOLA music.com. Really, everything is there that we're doing, man. I mean, I'm working on a new book young men discovering their purpose and shaping their destiny. So the book was supposed to come out in April, but of course COVID happened, and so now we're delaying that so we can have an official book release and all those kind of things. The book will have a soundtrack, and the whole thing about Kings is about teaching these young men in the community who they really are. It's like, man, like I said, there's a huge urban harvest out there that we're missing because a lot of these kids are getting in trouble or they're having these hard, tough times. But, you know, all we got to do is just teach them who they are, man, and give them a real opportunity to reach their potential. So my whole point about Kings, man, is that, you know, teach these young people to have that real identity in themselves and know that they're just kings in training, man. Some of them are lost, some of them are not finding their way right away, but they're still young kings. We got to teach them who they are, and once they recognize who they are, they will act like who they are. So beautiful things, man. Book, soundtrack, new projects, man, new music. Of course, the Presently Past Future CD. So, man, make sure and grab it. The Feel of Myself video is on YouTube, man. We're coming with new videos and new content. Oh, one last thing, too, I want to plug. So, speaking of tracks that are bringing back the original flavor, man, I got a track on the Presently Past Future CD called West Side, where it's like a tribute to the entire old school West Coast. It's crazy, man. I name off all the artists. And the beat is ridiculous, and I absolutely smashed this song. I cannot wait for you to hear it, family. It's crazy. The West Coast is gonna be back on this one, man.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Just hearing that right there literally is making my palms sweat. It's making me excited for that release, man. I'm looking forward to that.
No doubt. No doubt.
But kid, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And also, if you can, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Kid Sensation if they're not already doing so.
For sure, man. Well, I definitely want to shout out to all your listeners, man. I appreciate you guys, man, just kind of hanging out and you know, talking old school hip-hop with us, man, and just, man, let's continue to keep this good music alive. Shout out to you, of course, DJ Immortal, man, for just putting this show together, man, and making sure that these stories and these important, you know, pieces of hip-hop history get told and get shared, man. So thank you for that. Shouting out to my family, man, and to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I love my people, man. I love the music, and let's keep this hip-hop community vibrant and live, man. Let's keep on doing great things. My social media is at Cola Music, so at XOLA Music, and then of course at Kid Sensation. You'll find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, man. So you know, it's easy to reach to get at me, man. And if you hit me up, I respond, man, and I engage with people, and I just love it, man. I love the music, I love the people, and that's what this is about. So, man, shouts out DJ Immortal. Thanks for having me, man. This is beautiful.
Hey man, you are most certainly welcome, and I gotta say thank you, shout out to you just for giving us 30 minutes of your time, because like I said, I grew up on your music, you know, your music had a big influence on me growing up, so thank you just for everything you've done for the culture of hip-hop and all the amazing hits that you did. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more of your new hits, because it sounds like Kid Sensation has just started.
Hey, no doubt, man, and I'm going to make sure that you get that record early so you can share it with your people, man, and let's continue to keep this good music alive, man.
Hey, most definitely. If you send it, kid, I will most definitely spin it. Thank you so much again, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
Appreciate it, man. You as well. Take care, brother.
Take care, brother.